Welcome everyone to Solutions for Success. This is a seminar series sponsored by the Chamber. And we can't do these programs without great sponsors like Sim Financial. So we're going to get the show started today on the topic of storytelling through video with a few remarks from our partner today. And that's Evan Stark with Sim. Go ahead, Evan.
Thanks, Sherry. Appreciate everybody jumping on the call today. It looks like we'll give it a few minutes for some more folks to jump in. We love partnering with the Chamber in our community. We're happy to be a part of this community, and we believe we have an exceptional Chamber and an exceptional business community that really does strive to innovate. And so Sim Financial, as a fee-only independent fiduciary firm, provides financial advice and investment management across all kinds of markets and across the globe, actually, from here in the Midwest. So an exciting firm, always looking to innovate, always looking to generate best thinking in each topic from the most independent position that we can. So that's just a little bit about Sim. We've been in business for 50 years. We're around 70 employees across 5 offices, and we're always happy to be a resource for our Chamber partners and members. If there's questions about finance, we've got a team of people with all kinds of alphabet soup after their names to provide insight into those kinds of decisions. And we're happy today to help present, along with some great friends of ours in the community, J2 Marketing, and hear more. Honestly, even in our business, we have a lot to learn about storytelling and the ability to use video in doing that. And so I'm also looking forward to learning today. Thank you, Sherry.
All right, thank you, Evan. And yes, today's topic is storytelling through video. And our presenters today are Mitch Loveing, also known as Austin, but he likes to go by Mitch Loveing, and Sam Loveing. They're both from J2 Marketing. Mitch is Director of Operations, and Sam is the studio producer. So they're going to tell you all kinds of different insights and best practices on how to do a good job at, selling your products or telling your story, your brand, through video content. And you can utilize the Q&A, the chat room. You can even raise your hand. So J2, the floor is yours.
Awesome. Thank you, Sherry. Good morning, everybody at the 10 o'clock hour. We are super excited that you are willing to spend some time with us today. Like Sherry said, feel free to jump into the chat, Q&A. We love to have discussions. If you have a question about something we're talking about, or it just doesn't make sense, just drop a comment in the chat, and we'd love to be able to pick up where you guys have questions. So we have a lot of content that we're going over today and a little bit of time to do it. So we're super excited to jump on in. Like Sherry said, Sam Loveing, he and I are actually brothers. And we've had the privilege of working together for the past 2 years consistently, which has been an absolute blast. So I started off at J2 as the video guy when we were a little one-man band, and it was, here's a camera and here's a light and go shoot something, all the way up to where we're at now with a 3-man team, plus myself every now and then, a full studio, cinema cams, lighting, a 3D animator, and all of that. So we know how to do the big stuff, and we know how to do the little stuff, and we're super excited to kind of walk you guys through what both of those things might look like. Sam, I'm not sure if you want to give an intro, but go for it.
Yeah, so my name's Sam Loveing. I am the studio producer here. So that means I work throughout the whole process of making a video. So whether that's from the very beginning, coming up with concepts and script, to scheduling actors, locations, and then actual on-site shooting, and all the way through editing, color grading, sound design. So yeah, I kind of touch every little part of the video process.
Yep, and video can get as crazy or as simple as we need it to be, right? Video can be just a little video on your camera that makes its way to an Instagram editor and then lands on Instagram, or it can be the full shebang with sound effects, with color grading, with a lot of software and a lot of hard drives. And so you name it, we've kind of been through the ups and downs of that process, and we'll talk about when to use what. But when we talk about video at J2, our bigger emphasis is storytelling, right? Video has become the #1 way of storytelling and communicating your story to somebody. So how do you do that effectively? Why should you do that effectively? I want to walk through a couple stats just to get us started. Number one, there are 244.4 million digital video viewers in the US. And that number is just growing. So video has become the number one way of consuming content, right? And that's where we kind of saw the evolution when we started with Facebook and people sharing texts and messages with each other there. And then it grew and we started posting some photos, and then Instagram came out of nowhere, right? And so now we're sharing a lot of photos and pictures with each other, and every now and then some videos. And then we continue to grow, and now we have TikTok, which is solely video, and people can't get off of it because we're so consumed by video content. How does that relate to branding your company? Another stat is 91% of consumers want to see more online video content from brands, right? And so not only do people constantly consume video content, but they're actually demanding it and saying, hey, in order for us to understand your brand more and engage with your brand more, we really want to be able to do that through video content. 86% of marketing professionals use video as a marketing tool, and I can definitely vouch for that. We have an entire team at J2 Marketing that is solely devoted to implementing video into our products, right? Whether they're digital products and websites, or whether the videos are living by themselves, or if they're working as ads to lead people to websites. Video content is so valuable and so important. So another one, and we'll talk a little bit more about this today, but 66% of consumers find short form videos to be the most engaging type of content on social media, which is exciting because that for most of us, that's what we have direct access to. And a lot of the bigger production stuff becomes bigger. There might be barriers in regards to time. There might be barriers in regards to budget. And so having short form video content on social media be something that people are excited and interested in really is an awesome scenario for all of us. Last but not least, this is why video content is really important. 92% of video marketers say they've gotten a good ROI from video marketing, right? And so video marketing is so important because it can correlate and directly impact your return on investment, right? The money that it costs to create that video usually has a return as an investment to you as a company. So yeah, just a little bit about the why. If you're going, man, why does this even matter? Why is this something I should invest in? Why can't I just, take a couple pictures and call it a day? And photography works too, but the power of video is often underestimated to what it's able to produce. So we kind of go from that why. And again, if you guys have questions, feel free to drop them in, but we kind of go from that why into, okay, where do I start, right? Video is so vast. There's so much here, and I'm constantly inundated with content. And I kind of go in my own mind, well, maybe I can create something like that, but I get paralyzed at where do I start, right? And so I kind of want to walk you guys through 10 types of videos. It's really good direction for going, okay, if I'm going to start, what kind of video should I do? Who is it going to resonate with it? Why would I make that type of video? So let's kind of roll down this list. Number one, educational and instructional videos, right? So these are videos aimed to educate and provide instructions on particular topics or skills, such as tutorials, how-to guides, or informative lessons. These are really cool because they provide a level of value to your audience just for watching, right? There's this concept, this term that we're talking about in the marketing world called ROA. You guys have probably heard of ROI, return on investment. ROA is return on attention, right? And there's so many things vying for people's attention today on social media, on your phone, on your email, in the news, billboards, you name it. That people are going, okay, if I'm going to give my attention to something, I want to make sure I get a return on that attention. And so the instant value in educational and instruction videos is that you're giving somebody something that they can use right away, right? Whether it's a tutorial or how-to guide, and you're also talking about your product within that. Number two, entertainment videos. We have a lot of fun with this one. So this category encompasses a wide range of content, including comedy, skits, funny videos, pranks, parodies, and other forms of entertaining content intended to amuse viewers, right? And so a big conversation that we have surrounding video is people's purchasing decision process is 80 to 90% emotional and actually 10% logical. I know we like to think we're super logical human beings, but the reality is most of our decisions are made emotionally, right? And beyond that, the 10% logical side that is there actually follows the emotional side as we try to rationalize why we make a purchasing decision. What does that tell us? That tells us that we have a very real ability to appeal to somebody's conscience, right? Or their emotions, and they're going, man, why should I buy this? We tend to jump into the, well, look at all of these features it has, and we tend to miss out on the, well, let's talk about what this is going to do for you, right? And how it's going to make you feel, or how this is going to add a level of security and being able to appeal to those emotions. So when we create an entertainment video, we're essentially bypassing all of the, well, what are all of the details? I want to make sure I know everything, and appealing directly to those people's emotions and locking in with them there. Number 3, product reviews and demos. Videos that review and demonstrate products, highlighting their features, benefits, and performance, often with an expert or influencer providing an opinion. This is great. As we kind of enter the era of YouTube, people have started teaching themselves a lot of things just on YouTube. And so creating videos like this are really easy because people aren't looking for a phenomenal production with multi-cams and perfect lighting. They just want to know, hey, how do I accomplish X? And if you have a video that is kind of just laying out, hey, here's how you use this device, here's a review on this product, and lay it out for somebody, they're not going to be concerned if they can't see your face in the video, or if there's a little bit of motion blur. They just want to see the product and hear you talk about it. Along with that, kind of vlogs, right? So video logs, our short video blogs, vlogs as we call them, are personal video diaries capturing a person's daily life experiences, travels, or thoughts, often including a mix of storytelling, commentary, and documentation. So this is cool because it kind of follows the person, but like point 3, people aren't looking for this insane high-end production, right? We kind of are coming out of this era of everything needs to be insanely highly produced in order to be valuable, and going, man, people are really just wanting to have experiences that they can relate and engage with. Let's see, let's keep going. Point number 5, interviews and Q&A, right? So videos featuring interviews with individuals, experts, celebrities, or thought leaders where questions are asked and insightful discussions take place, right? This is a great one when you guys are going, man, I just don't know where to start, or how would I even start a video? What should I build as far as story? If there's nothing there that you can come up with, and the reality is that you guys probably have a pretty solid audience to be able to say, hey, we should do a Q&A with somebody on our team to kind of talk about our services or kind of talk about our products. And all of a sudden, kind of sitting in on that podcast style of video, people start to engage because they don't feel like you're talking at them. They feel more like a fly on the wall, right? And when you feel like a fly on the wall, you feel a little bit more safe. So you can kind of just observe what's happening. Event coverage, this is great. So point number 6, event coverage. If you guys are doing a lot of events, or if you kind of want to highlight what it looks like inside your company, or how you guys service your clients, doing something like event coverage. So videos capturing live events, conferences, festivals, or concerts, providing viewers with a front row experience and highlights from the events. Again, this is really cool because it's not really reliant on you being able to come up with all of the content. You're capturing content that's already happening, right? And so that makes video content like that very easy. Number 7 is webinars and lectures. So video recordings of presentations, lectures, or seminars that focus on educational or professional development topics, often designed for online learning. So some of these overlap a little bit, but this would be strictly like if you were to give an online lecture, right? What would it look like for you guys to record that? Because in recording that lecture, you've all of a sudden kind of immortalized value, right? And what would have been a one-time training, you can now take that and share that in multiple places to multiple peoples, establishing yourself as a thought leader. Number 8, this one is where we get a little bit more creative, right? So animated videos. There, you guys have probably either seen in a training video or in a how-to video, everything from simple little 2D animations to big animations. This one gets a little bit hard because you either have to be a really good animator in and of yourself, or watch a lot of YouTube. figure out how to become a good animator, or pay somebody to do that. But the value of animated videos is really neat. So videos that employ animation techniques including 2D or 3D graphics to convey information, tell stories, or illustrate concepts in an engaging and visually appealing manner. The animated storytelling just has a way of getting to the viewer. Number 9, documentary films. So this is a longer form video that explore real life subjects, issues, or historical events, providing an in-depth examination and analysis through interviews, research, and storytelling. It's a good question to try to figure out if this would actually fit into your business model. But this is really cool in that, if you have a partnership with a big organization, to be able to highlight a story throughout that year of your partnership and talk about that, and kind of get some co-branding in there. It's a really cool way to highlight your relationship to companies that you would want to be correlated with. Number 10 is, and this is last, is brand advertisements. And this is probably where we have the most of our fun, right? So these are videos created by businesses and brands to promote their products, services, or values, often with a storytelling approach to evoke emotions and establish a connection with the audience. And so these are videos that are 30 seconds to a minute. They're either ads on Facebook, or it's a TV commercial, and honestly, an ad on any type of platform, on YouTube, on LinkedIn. But the idea is understanding your business and what you guys do, and then understanding your audience and who they are and what they need, and then creating a video that is able to engage them in storytelling, while highlighting your product or your services. So how does this happen? How does this apply to you? Sam, why are we talking about this?
Yeah, so I mean, you guys might be thinking this is great, this is awesome, but I don't have the budget and time for this. So how do I implement video things into my work? And there's this great thing that we've talked about a lot. It's called social media. It's free and anyone can post on it, and it can bring you revenue and money. I think the biggest thing with social media is, first off, you need to know, who are your customers, and that'll determine kind of like what video style you use. Is it DIY dads? Is it kids who are interested in science things? Is it Gen Z photographers? And that'll kind of influence your medium or your visual style and how you want to communicate to them. But with a lot of social media, it doesn't need to be the highest quality. People want just cool, interesting things now. And so it's more about your quantity over your quality. There's this great book called Show Your Work. It's talking for creatives, but also applies to anyone, just how to put yourself out there. So we're just going to reference some things from this book. Think process and not product when you are sharing on social media. Back then when an artist were to show their work, it would be the final painting, the final product. But today, when we show our work, we can show the entire process, from conception to final product. And you can bring your viewers along with you through that. And that makes them feel like they're a part of it a lot more. Another great point is to become a documentarian. Again, that's kind of just like consistency over quality. You share day in and day out what you're doing, document the things that you're learning, the things that you're growing in, and things that you're getting to experience. And then another great concept is turning your flow into stock. So flow is the little stuff that you produce each day, whether like, a little video, a little photo, and then stock is more of the durable stuff that is built up over time in the background. So your flow turns into your stock, and your stock could then be a combination of a bunch of different things you've been posting that you can then combine and turn into like a blog post or maybe a longer video series. So again, it's your flow that you want to organize over time and turn into your stock. And you also want to just open your cabinet of curiosities, share with people the things that you're learning and the things that interest you and that make you curious. And this is great and easy because a lot of the time it doesn't force you to make any of your own content, but you're just reposting things that you find interesting and cool. And then, you're just showing other people things that you like. And then teaching what you know is also another great way. A lot of you guys are business leaders, and a lot of things that you do day in and day out might seem normal to you, but to someone else, it might be eye-opening or world-changing, So teach what you know. It's great because you can position yourself as a thought leader, as someone who has a lot of understanding in their field, and then it gains you a lot of credit when you do that. And teaching is the best way to learn something more yourself. And there's a really delicate balance with finding with all this. You know, you don't want to be a hoarder. You don't want to not share anything. You want to be a contributor to social media. You want to give and you want to add, but you don't want to do it too much to where you become a spammer and you're putting so much out there to where it just gets lost in the noise and it doesn't stand out and then people start ignoring you. So the contributor is the beautiful balance that you want to stick with. And then one practical tip for editing social media videos or something like that is that you need a good hook. So a hook is something at the beginning of your video that just snatches your viewers' attention and it keeps them there for the rest of the video. So two really great tips is you want to have captions with your video. That is a great way to grab their attention. Number one, because it gives something for their eyes to look at rather than just a person. And a lot of people view social media videos with the volume down, so they can still get your content if there's captions, and make the captions fun and interesting that will grab their attention even better. And then you also want to have a really unique intro. So I've seen a lot of people do whip pans, which is where, you know, you have your camera facing one way and then it whips really quickly to your subject. And it's just a very jarring visual effect that will grab your viewer's attention, you know, or you could have someone kind of out of frame and then jumping into frame. You just need that big movement that'll make your post stand out and above the rest of the noise of all the other social media content. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. So a big part of that, Sam, I know you also wanted to talk about knowing your consumers and expectations, right? And letting that define your style.
Yeah. That's kind of what I mentioned at the beginning, how like you need to know, you know, is it a DIY dad? You know, they're not going to want the most dynamic movements and the craziest color grading. They're just going to want, you know, a still frame of someone explaining what they need to do. But these like Gen Z photographers, you know, they want the certain like saturation levels and things like that. And so you really got to know who you're trying to capture their attention and look at other accounts or other people who are doing that successfully. You know, you got to learn and view other successful people to know how to implement it with yourself.
Yeah, that's great. So we've seen this change, especially on TikTok advertising, right? When advertisers started jumping onto TikTok, we would see these companies like Target or Dick's Sporting Goods create this really high-end professional ad that, you know, you'd be scrolling through your videos and then you'd come upon this ad and it would get skipped right away. And we saw a change over time go from these high professional videos on TikTok to these videos that almost don't even look like they're done by a company. You just think it's one of the influencers that you're watching, and then all of a sudden they're talking about how they're wearing the newest Nike shoes, right? Or how they're using a new product from a big company. And you go, oh my gosh, this is an ad, right? And it's because advertisers started to realize that people who are on TikTok don't want to be advertised to, right? And so as soon as they see this highly produced video, it's in and it's out. But if essentially advertisers come back around, they say, if we can create something that adds value, right, and brings value to the user, and it's fun and it's engaging to the point that they don't even realize it's an ad until halfway through, then that's how we can get the hook on that. And so where that ends up being cool for us and for you guys is that you no longer live in a world where the only ads that make it are the best produced or the highest quality or are recorded on 6K cameras, right, or 4K cameras. You can take your phone and you can build something that will easily work as an ad or just video content that people will engage with. And so what that is for you depends really, again, on what you're offering and who your audience is and how you bring those two things together. So identify what you're trying to create, right? Is it an ad? Is it a mini doc? Is it just online social content, right? It might not necessarily be that your next move is to create an ad asking somebody to directly engage with the company. It might be that your next move is to make a series of videos where you explain your product or where you're just engaging with your audience online, and seek to identify what your current audience is into and what they're looking for in content. So Okay, 2 more points, and then would love to open it up to Q&A if you guys have any questions, and we can kind of chat through some of the things that we've done. But second to last is plan your videos and plan your ideas, right? So the best videos that we see are videos that are clearly planned out beforehand, right? You can tell when a video is kind of just made on the fly and, oh, let's record a talking head and then just throw some B-roll on top of it and call it a day. This looks awesome. And in the past it gets by. But in today's world where we have so many videographers and so many people producing content, it's less about how amazing your camera is and how amazing your lighting is and how much money you're going to throw at a video. And it's so much more about your planning and your storytelling, right? Is your content engaging? Can the viewer understand when they're watching it that you have planned and thought about this video? You're not throwing content towards them that you yourself haven't spent time thinking about, right? Like you can tell when you're watching a video that the person who made it wasn't really interested in making it or just wanted to get it by, right? Is it that, or are they watching something that they say, hey, somebody put value into this video, somebody put time, energy, effort into this video, someone put story writing into this video, and because that value is attributed to it, I'm going to be willing to spend more time on that, right? So plan your videos. It's always amazing when we see a video of a subject in a frame talking, and then they start talking back and forth with the narrator off the screen. And the narrator says, it's amazing how it can do that, right? And the guy on the screen goes, oh yeah, that is kind of cool how you can do that. Thanks. Yeah, no problem. Those are things that you can't just make up on the spot, right? It has to get planned out and written out. And because it was planned out, it has this effect on us where we go, oh wow, there's quality to this video because there's a lot of thought behind the video. So you can have a really great camera, really bad plan is going to equal a bad video. You can have an okay camera and a really good plan is going to be a killer video. So the last thing that I want, from any creative is to bottleneck bottleneck yourself because you're going, I just don't have the equipment. That's only part of the process. So last but not least, there's a big question of, okay, so what's the balance of me creating my own content versus me working with a team? And that's a great question, right? When do I make the video myself and when do I hire somebody else to do it? There are a lot of different answers to that. A really easy one is, number one, do you have the time to create video content for yourself? Because time ends up costing more than money. And so if this isn't your primary work that you're doing, then working and building a video will take away from your primary work that you're doing. But the second part of that is, at least for us as an agency, it's a big conversation around brand elevation, right? And so big brands and big companies are going to have both content that looks like it's user generated, right? It's more organic looking. And then they will also have highly produced content that speaks into their brand, right? Because someone sees a really big commercial and the association with that commercial is, oh, wow, this is a really big brand because they can afford this big production, right? It's as simple as Verizon, right? And Verizon has their cell phone commercials, and join Verizon now, but their commercials of recently, it's just a giant word, right? Verizon on some type of landscape and somebody's sitting on top of the word. It's not super complicated, but it's very high production, and it says something about the company that, oh wow, they do this because they afford this, and that's what they put into their marketing. So it depends on where you're at as a company. If you're going, man, we really need help with brand elevation, that's something that we do at J2 is we sit down, we say, hey, how do we take your brand to the next level? That's, Rise and Roll is one of our clients, and they're one of the examples that we've done that with, and taking, print design and video, all of that video ads to the next level, and incorporating things like 3D animation, and microscopic lenses, just a lot of fun stuff, or telescopic lenses. And we're using all of these tools to make something just look absolutely awesome, and it says something about the brand. Sam, did you want to say anything about that?
No, I mean, I think that's really good. We're always pushing story first. It has to be a good story. And just so much of your work really needs to be the pre-production, before you make the video. A lot of what we do is in that time frame, and people viewing the video won't even realize that, but they would realize it if it wasn't there, you know. So yeah, you got to put the work in beforehand and plan it out.
Yeah, if you were to like attribute a percentage to how much time we want to spend on pre-production and then post-production, which is so in our process, you have pre-production, production, post-production, right? So Sam, just kind of walk through what each of those sections include.
Yeah, so pre-production, that would be working with the client, you know, figuring out what point do you want to get across with this video, what's your vision for it, and then we would come back and we would build out a storyboard, which would be like a shot by shot scene of how the video would play out. We would come up with the script, get that approved. Then we need to figure out, do we need actors, do we need locations? So scheduling those and getting those locked down. And then once we have everything prepared and we know how the video is going to go, what the visual tone is going to be like, where it's going to be recorded, then we have production, which is actually shooting the video. So it's the cameras, it's the lights, it's the audio, it's the actors. And then post-production is then compiling all of that. And this too is where, you know, if you have a good pre-production, then you basically have made the video before you've made the video, you know, so it makes editing so much more easier. Whereas if you have a bad pre-production and then you go into post-production and you're editing, you're kind of just scrambling around and trying to make the video. So with us, you know, we come to the end where we're done shooting and we know how the video is already going to go. So it's bringing it together and editing, adding any effects or animation, color grading it, the audio, the music, and then we send it off to the client for review. So if they like it, that's great. Sometimes they come back with edits and we tweak it to hit their goal better. But yeah, that's kind of the 3 stages: the pre-production, production, and post-production.
And honestly, guys, it might be that you don't need the full shebang, right? And you go, man, well, I just don't know if I, you know, me, myself, and I could afford an entire production. There are teams, and even something that we do is we're paid for our brains, right? So people come to us for our ideas. So it might not be that you need a full production on all the lights and everything. You just need a really good idea to start with, right? And you say, hey, if I could just sit down and figure out how do I target my audience, or figure out, hey, here's what I'm selling, what kind of video should I make, or even can you guys storyboard something that I can take and I can use. All of those different pieces, right? Whatever you guys need or whatever you don't need, we're able to add or subtract. It might be that you say, hey, I have an event coming up and I would love event videography, and then, you know, you jump on iMovie or something and piece those together. It's all about how do we get that end story, right? And what's the best possible way to that point. So there was a question in chat. There's no hard standard for length of videos, but is there a rule of thumb to live by when creating for the various platforms? Is short and sweet always best, or how do you determine which platform to post on based on your content? What do you think, Sam?
Yeah, I mean, I think social media is always going to be your shorter form content. YouTube is great for longer form. As an editor, I always want to try to get the point across as quickly as possible. That doesn't mean as fast, you know, but I want to get the point across. Sometimes the point has to be emotional, which means, okay, we got to slow it down here. But you never want to just have useless content in your video. You know, everything has to be motivated. So yeah, I think the shorter is always better, but again, it depends on your need. You know, are you wanting a really emotional video? That's going to have to be longer. Yeah.
Yeah, but if we were to look at people's attention spans, right? You have probably approximately 2 to 3 seconds to actually hook somebody and get them to stick and watch your video. And then you have about 8 seconds to convey value and keep them around longer, right? So within your first 3 seconds, 2 seconds, it needs to be, oh, hey, this is kind of interesting, I'm gonna stick around. And if they don't feel in that next 8 seconds of, oh, this is relevant to me, or I like this content, or I want to engage with this content, then they're out.
Yeah, I'd say for social media, you know, you want to 15 seconds is the sweet quick spot. You can go up to 30 seconds. I feel like 60 would be a little too long. For a longer form YouTube video, whether it's like a about us company video, we like to go somewhere in the like 2 to 4 minute range. And then anything above that, you know, you have to have a really compelling story to get people to want to stay longer. But yeah, social media 15 to 30, and then longer form stay under about 7 minutes.
Oh, that's a good one, Evan. So is there a deteriorating return on posting frequency, i.e. if you post every day, people stop clicking on it? That's a great question. And this is where we start to bleed into social media, right? And so at J2, we have social media management, social media advertising. We have studio production, web production, marketing management. So our studio team actually only focuses on creating a really good product, and they don't spend their time focusing on social media. That'd be our social media team. So I spent a little bit of time with the social media team to be able to say that it really depends on your audience. And I know that can tend to sound like a cop out, but we've had audiences that we've thought, man, posting every day is just going to be a problem, and it's not going to help grow the account. And then we see positive trends in a given month, and we go, oh well, never mind, that's working. And then we see other audience where we run a campaign and say, hey, we're going to post a lot and engage, and people just don't engage. So it really depends on your audience, right? Based on what you're selling, you're hopefully going to have a specific target, right? A specific demographic of people who are interested in your product. And that person is surrounded by psychographics, right? So what motivates their purchasing decision, what motivates their thought process, who they are as a person, and the way that that person processes content is going to be completely different than someone who does for another company. And that doesn't mean that you don't have crossovers, right? It's not if I like one company and product, then I'm not going to like another one, and I'm totally set on this one. But that's just where it's so hard to say, yes, less is more is less. Always, here's the hard, fast rule. It just varies.
Yeah. So for like 2 examples, I know someone who runs the social media for an antique store in town, and they're posting about once or twice a week, because antique is just, it can kind of be repetitive stuff, and they'll feature a booth here and there. And so I feel like that's great because it's a little bit slower because it's a lot of things to look through, but also very similar content. Um, but then also there's a bar in town, and their social media, they're posting a lot because they have different events coming on. They have different drinks and stuff like that. So yeah, I think what you're posting can be very helpful. And then like how much you're posting a day. Are you posting 20 stories? That might be a little too much. Or is it like 3 stories a day? That's going to be a lot easier for people to digest.
All right. Any other questions in the chat or the Q&A from you guys?
Hey, Mitch, I have a question. This is
Go ahead.
Sherry. So do you guys have any examples of certain apps that, people can use to help with some of the editing or just some of the video work? I know a lot of times the different social platforms obviously have their own, areas where you can do editing and things like that. But outside of that, are there some different apps that you guys have found very helpful?
Yeah, that's a great question.
Yeah, so I know Premiere Pro, they have a mobile editing app, which I haven't touched, but I've heard great things about that. You might need to have a subscription for that. The software that we use is called DaVinci Resolve, and it's great because it's free. And movies are made on this software program, which is incredible. But they also have a really simple editing page, So if you want something very streamlined and simple, they have that for you. Or if you want to go really in depth, there's that as well. But that would be on your laptop, not necessarily an app on your phone.
And then if you want, software for kind of brainstorming and getting your thoughts, we use, Sam, I always pronounce this wrong, but it's Milanote, right?
Milanote. Yep, Milanote.
Yep. And it's a really great platform where if you want to kind of storyboard or build out your ideas to kind of get it all on one page and share that with other people and get their feedback on it. And so we use that kind of in our brainstorming process.
We got a question in the chat. It says, yes, how much value do you put on storyboarding? What is your process? What does the product, images, or notes look like? And how much of the production does it take up, if any? Milanote. Yep, correct. That's how you spell it.
I can drop.
Or sorry, it would be.
I'll drop you guys a link in the chat. There you go.
Yeah.
Okay, so great question. Number one, it depends on what the video is, right? So it goes back to if the video is going to be more of a documentary style, right? So we're wrapping up a documentary that we have done for a band that's been performing at the Garage Arcade Bar in downtown South Bend. And for that, we essentially do this at a very top level to say, hey, we want to understand the ideas that we're going after in each section. And then we're going to follow those ideas. Because it's a documentary, there's some ebb and flow that you want to have to the entire story, because it's not us writing the story, it's them writing the story, and we're capturing that. But at the same time, we want to have structure to our video. So it's very high end. We're going to have part one, and it's going to talk about maybe their journey. Part two is going to be capture them performing. Part three, but we're not doing a scene by scene and breaking out exactly what that looks like, right? Whereas we have another client who's wanting an online digital ad for one of their products, and so we're thinking, okay, we have 30 seconds, here's this ad we want to make, and it's going to be a big production. So usually the bigger the production that it has, the more that we're going to put into the storyboarding. That way we can make sure before we get on the ground with a camera that we actually know every single shot we're going after. So we've done everything from drawing up sketches and in a storyboard frame by frame and saying, here's what's going to be scene 1, scene 2, scene 3, scene 4. For big clients, we did a couple commercials for SBO, and that was we essentially did a previs, right? So previs is pre-visualization. And what we did with that is we essentially created a really rough 3D animated render of the commercial that we were going after, scene by scene, frame by frame. I mean, it's these 3D models that are very robotic, but we know exactly where we want to put the camera or how we want the camera to move. And so by the time we actually go into production, we're replicating with real people frame by frame, and then we plug it all in. Sam, did you want to add anything else to that?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's really good. And it goes back to the concept, like we're making the video before we actually make the video. And with kind of like, what's our process? Like what type of images and notes do we use? There's a lot of templates out there. Milanote has great templates. And then I find best for me, I'll start with something like that, but then I just got to tweak it to either what fits the project best or what fits like my mental process best. So, yeah.
Great question, though. Oh, you're welcome. I'm just dropping in kind of everything that we talked through as far as links. If you guys have any questions about the statistics that we talked about earlier on, I'm going to give you a link to, it's called Oberlo, and they kind of do research on that. So there's more video stats for you. It's a great page to go through. Also, if you guys want some more ideas for types of videos, I don't know if you guys have heard of 99 Designs, but it's also a phenomenal platform for creatives, and they kind of list out here different video types they could go after. So any other questions from the audience? I know we have 15 minutes kind of slated, but it's totally up to you guys.
I can drop in a link from a Milanote that I've used before if you guys would like to check it out. Let's see.
No, that's great.
Great.
Any other questions for Mitch and Sam?
And if not, it's been a pleasure talking to you guys, and hope to see some of you guys in person.
Wonderful. Well, again, we want to thank both of you for your expertise. It was great. And I really liked the conversational style of this. So it was really helpful. So yeah, please reach out to these gentlemen at J2 if you have any additional information or questions for them. And we want to thank Sim Financial again for sponsoring our Solutions for Success program. And we will have another one in July. We're looking at a leadership topic. We're still working on all those details right now, and we are recording this particular session, so you can find it on our YouTube channel. Plus, we will email it out to all of our attendees. So I think that's it for right now, and just keep track of everything that's happening at the chamber at sbrchamber.com, and Have a great afternoon. I'm Sherry Carroll with the Chamber. Good day.
Good, thanks.
Bye.
Thank you.